Alright. Day 19. What do we got? Okay, we're in Brightman Cottage. So I asked for some new questions, you know, and I got a bunch from you guys. There's a bunch of really good ones here. So if you asked me questions before to be in the video and I skipped you, it was either on accident, you know, because I took so many cuts and stuff, or like the recordings I took got messed up and I was like, did I already answer this? And I might have forgot. And it's also like a bunch of them I just couldn't answer yet. But, now we got a bunch of other ones I gotta answer. Wait. What is it? I don't remember going down the stairs looking like that. So I'm gonna grab them right now, so don't go anywhere. So we got the first one. This person asked 2 questions. The first one's, what's Razor's mom's name? I have thought about this a few times. All the characters are gonna call her Pack Mother. And I am not going to give her an official name because the way names like that sort of work is that, like, in Wild District specifically, I mean, you, like, the most respected object gets to be called by their object name. So I don't think anyone would know what her actual name is because she's like the leader of the pack and stuff. So they'll call her Pack Mother or they'll call her Razor, because Razor would be her name as the leader of the pack. That's just how it works. And similarly, I don't know if we talked about this in the Q&A, I don't remember, but when 2 objects that are the same are in a wild district together, they'll usually fight over who gets to be called the object name and who has to be called the person name. Because being called as your object is, like, more respectable to them. In the first draft for Alliance, they were actually Mushroom and Dynamite were actually going to be chased by Chicken Venus into a hole, like a small cave that Chicken Venus couldn't fit into. And they were going to wait them out and then trick them into falling into a ravine together. And they were going to get stuck in the ravine. And they were going to work out a deal where Mushroom and Dynamite would help them get rid of parasites and, you know, try to help find their sister. Like, Chick's sister, like, Razor, you know, Astra. And in exchange, they'd show Dynamite how to hunt, so Dynamite wouldn't be starving anymore, or, like, have to hurt people. And in that draft, in that script, when they were in the ravine together, they were going to be asked, you know, by Mushroom and Dynamite, what's your name? You know, during the interrogation scene, I guess. And they were gonna fight over who gets to be called Razor. You know, as if they weren't gonna just go to the pack later anyways, and they had to be called by their names anyways, but they were fighting about it, and Chick and Venus were like, well, I'm Razor, and that's Venus, and then Venus would have been like, no, I'm Razor, that's Chick, and, you know, they would have fought about it. But that's just kind of not how it turned out. So they also asked, is Mushroom a faux object? Yeah. Yeah, she descends from faux. Someone asked, what's Comet's favorite birds? Hold on. Okay. Comet's favorite birds. Let me save the game. Save it here. See, Kyoto looks a little different, right? I like the fence textures, like they're rainbow. Then I gotta get back to... I lost the questions because I tapped something on accident. Where is it? Favorite birds? Oh. I don't think she has favorite birds. Like, we see her drawing birds and stuff and making little animals out of things, but I wouldn't say birds are actually, like, a huge special interest or anything. No. She's not, like, obsessed with birds. I don't think she has a favorite. She probably sees all animals, like, kind of the same way. So, are any of the Lawless King's faux objects? Well, I guess so, because one of them is faux, literally. If you guys don't know, faux object just means descends from foe, which means, like, their ancestor's foe, who is a late Lawless King, which means they died. Everyone who descends from foe has the red eyes, the special dumb trick. They kind of look like her sometimes. And, I'm gonna go around it. Or should I? It's very tempting. I can't help it. Someone asked why, the crows died in Hive. Like, why they were all splattered on the wall. I was waiting for someone to ask that. I'm surprised nobody asked that before. They said, I get it had something to do with the Hive Core, but did they just, like, drop dead around it? Does the Hive Core have, like, a force field that kills anything in range? And how come Comet got close enough to collect the bloody water without dying while all the crows did? So the Hive Core has a pull, sort of. And it affects animals differently than, objects. So birds will fly into it and stuff. And they'll break their own necks and stuff. I got inspired by, like... I wouldn't say, like, inspired per se, but I was thinking about, like, how it would affect animals and make them, like, misbehave and stuff. And I was like, well, I used to live in this house that had a glass screen door on the back porch, and every once in a while a bird would fly into it and break its little neck. And I thought about that, and I was like, that's one thing we could do with it, so that's what we did with it. That's pretty much what happened. You know, Hivecore Madness will give objects like Starsheet and Delirium and the other things, but for animals it just makes them behave strange, hurt themselves. You know, the point is still, like, to kill everything, so... You either get assimilated or you die. They'll take either or. The parasites. Because that's just kind of how it was in Escape and Run, right? They assimilate things and they hurt things, and that's kind of it. They take over. Someone asked me a strange question, I don't know what this means. I think it's some inside joke, I'm not gonna read it. So, someone asked, can Wagyu eat Wagyu? And can Painkiller take painkillers? Yeah, I don't see why not. I think Wagyu's been so groomed into the whole, like, let's kill you and sell your body for profit thing that he probably does eat his own corpses and doesn't think about it. But Painkiller, actually, with painkillers, they actually have a really high tolerance for painkillers. Because I made it, like, semi-canon in my head, I guess, but not really applied to the story in any way, that if an object character is like a drug or something, then they'd probably have a really high tolerance to it, because I feel like those chemicals would be running pretty heavy in their bloodstream throughout their entire life. I was thinking of that one kid who had that condition where they produced a lot of alcohol in their blood throughout their whole life, you know, and they had like a big tolerance to it, but they were always like a little tipsy, I guess, or sick or something, lethargic. I don't remember how the story went, but that can happen. And I was thinking about that when I thought like, well, could Brandy drink alcohol? Would it do anything? I think he'd have a really high tolerance for it. But I never wanted it to be like he's always inebriated or anything. I think he could still like drive and stuff. He'd be fine. Let's just say I guess that's how it would work in Objectified. I feel like if Painkiller had a headache or something, and you gave them like a painkiller, I guess, it probably wouldn't do anything. So, okay, this is a bunch of questions. If Spool was an overseer to a vault in Fallout, what vault would it be? I don't remember the vaults by number, honestly. Oh, a penguin hit me. I'm like sorta interested in Fallout, but I've never played it. So yeah, sorry. I'm trying to remember what the vault experiments even were. It's like something I know about from YouTube videos talking about it, and then I zone out and stuff. So it's like, I don't know. What else? They also asked, being vague, what was the idea for Three Spines? What was the idea for Three Spines? I wanted to make a bunch of special parasites, right? So that's the premise, the basic premise. And they'd have like single instances or a few instances, and they'd do special things that would help other parasites. And Three Spines originally was one of those things. I guess they're all Easter eggs. They all fit into the same category. But Three Spines ended up being a little different, where Three Spines would actually end up hurting parasites too. Like, the idea there is that it's a big thing that gets more and more out of control as time goes on. And I want you to think about that really hard, because right now it's just a baby. And you only see a little bit of it poking out of the sky. Like, if it wasn't implied hard enough with the icon with the number 1 on it, that the appearance of that thing is gonna change a lot. And it's gonna get bigger. And I mean it's called Three Spines, so what do you think is gonna happen? Was that too, like, I feel like that's so obvious I can just say it. Right? I said, what would be Comet's favorite item in her little tent? Probably her, that's a good question, actually. I feel like Comet would have various things she considers sentimental, because she makes a lot of stuff by hand. And I guess, speaking from experience, stuff made by hand is, like, pretty special, right? So it's a lot of special stuff. Maybe the sketchbook? Maybe? I don't know. Because the sketchbook's like a fun, you know, relaxing thing. I would have said the cloak with the made of the crows, but that might just make her sad when she thinks about it too hard. This is a good sky. I don't think I've ever seen this shade of purple in LSD Dream Emulator before. Dream over. I feel like we've landed in that spot a million times. Maybe I should start like running into more stuff. And I'm just like walking around and showing you guys what. So day 21 I'll save just in case. I did record earlier, but I had to scrap it because the game froze. And like in the emulator, so that I couldn't play it, and I had to load back on like day 19. There are a few more they asked that I don't think I have an answer to, so I'm just gonna move on. So, someone asked, is there the possibility that we see more characters appear in the main cast, like before Book 2? Like additions to the Book 1 cast? Basically, they're asking if there's going to be any new main characters in Book 1. They said, the way the new fight or flight sticker it makes me think it's not about just Wagyu. Someone would actually catch that. God damn it. Maybe. It shouldn't be too much longer. Anyways. Someone asks, can Razorpacks be other species other than wolves? Could they be hyenas, wild dogs, etc.? Yeah, I'd say they'd stay in like the canine range and stuff, but generally they're all like things like wolves, yeah. Of course you could breed it out, you know? You could have a razor that's like a, I guess eventually like a fox, or like a, just anything else. But I feel like most of them are just like dog things. It's a little cursed to imagine like a koala razor or something. Think about it. Ugh. So now someone might draw that now and it's gonna look fucking badass or something. I'm gonna be pissed. She looks fine. I gotta check again what her whole deal was, because now I'm confused. But yeah, actually, it's funny you asked that, because we were actually gonna show other types of razors later. I think for like a hypothetical, and don't hold your breath, because it's gonna be like a book 2 thing. Like it would just be like a hypothetical drawing that we'd share later. Okay. Someone said there's a lot of good questions in here today. Someone asked, so in hide and seek's release art it shows a clock with Mushroom's current forms. Right? Assuming that the silhouette in the 4th slot is her 4th form, how soon will we see her in this form, and will she enter this form through a drastic event, similarly to Pelobolus? Is it pronounced Pelobolus? I think it probably is. It's one of those words I see online and I don't hear anyone say, like, out their mouth. It's a good question. Oh. It surprised me that time for some reason. The elephant. Okay, how am I gonna answer this? You are actually... Yeah, I'm really, I gotta be careful with this one. How soon will we see her in this form? Later. Will she enter it through a drastic event? No. In layman's terms, we call this getting older. That's all I'm gonna say. Okay, someone else asked, I actually noticed Minty seems to always have his claws out, even in the past before the whole apocalypse thing. And they said, is there like any backstory or design reason for it? Usually when we draw the characters with their claws out, it's just because it looks nice, I guess, and it might balance out the shape of, you know, their silhouette and stuff. But in some cases, it is like, it does actually mean something. Not with Minty, but we very deliberately used to not draw Dynamite with his claws out because he was insecure about them. And then now he's less insecure about them because he uses them more, like, all the time and stuff. With other characters, there's some I give claws when normally I guess you wouldn't notice that animal has claws like a I guess dagger, right? And the reason I let the dogs have claws like that is because I thought about it, I guess, and I was like, well, if they're in an apocalypse, they wouldn't be cutting their nails, right? So they'd probably let them grow out and stuff.